Oh, you're right, guys. Well, it's getting close to Easter, so I thought I'd do my Easter fruity loaf or fruit bread. Far too many ingredients to go through now, so I'll put them in the description and I'll just talk you through it as I use them. Well, first up we need some strong tea, and this is Earl Grey, about 400ml. So I made this first of all just so it stews a bit. And the reason we need the tea is to soak the dried fruit. So while the tea's brewing, 100 grams of sultanas, 100 grams of currants, and about 80 grams of mixed peel or mixed dried fruit. Bin the tea bags or put them on your compost heap. Pour the tea onto the dried fruit, give it a mix up and let it sit for about an hour. And while the fruit is soaking away, it's time to get the yeast going. Now, I use dried yeast, but I never like to put it straight into any bread mix. Let's face it, how do you know it's any good? So what I'm doing, I got 50 gram of caster sugar, 250ml of milk, which is what the recipe calls for. Give it a mix up, give it a nuke in the microwave for 30 seconds, just to make it just a bit more than tepid. So the trusty old microwave's done its thing, warmed up a little bit. In with, now I'm using about, I don't know, what's that? Now they call that a dessert spoon, and a dessert spoon to me is 10 grams, so about 10 grams of yeast. Give it a mix up. Right, for this recipe, I don't want it to be too bready, I don't want it to be too cakey. So I've got a mix of bread flour and plain flour, about 50-50 of the two, as long as it adds up to somewhere around 525 grams. And here's my secret ingredient, bread improver. It sort of feeds the yeast a little bit, makes it more bubbly dough. So about 7 grams of that, and then in with about 2 teaspoons of salt. 50 to 60 grams of unsalted butter, and again nuke it in the microwave for a bit to melt it down. Doesn't matter if it's not all totally melted, so it'll be so soft it will mix up anyway. And allow this to cool a bit, you don't want to shock the yeast again. Yeast has been sat for a quarter of an hour. Yeah, it's frothy, the yeast is alive. Look at that motion. Well, time to start mixing. You can do it by hand if you want to, but I'm going to use a stand mixer. So in with the flour and salt, in with 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And why am I doing it twice, you say? That's because it's half a teaspoon scoop. The 1 teaspoon will not fit in the jar. 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, and I'm using Cassia Oil. You can use mixed spice if you've got it, but this Cassia Oil, it adds that something, that cinnamon smell. It's fantastic. About 10 drops of that. So that's all the dry bits in. Now for the wet bits. The beaten egg, the yeast, milk and sugar mix, and the melted butter, which has now cooled down. On with the dough hook, and what we're doing now, we're going to beat for about 2 minutes, and all you're trying to do now is to hydrate the flour. You want to get the flour wet and start soaking up the liquids. And here we are, just about 2 minutes in. I had to add a little touch of water. The mix was very dry. It all depends on the flours really. The drier they are, the more liquid they'll absorb. So the quick 2-minute mix is up. Lift the hook out the way, cover with a clean tea towel, and just let it rest for 10 minutes so the flour really absorbs the moisture. The dough's at its 10-minute rest, so it's time to start kneading. You can do this by hand if you want, but I'm going to carry on using a stand mixer. It's not a bad looking dough. I'm quite impressed with that. Here we are then, 10 minutes, and it's a nice silky smooth dough. And here's me struggling to get the bowl off the mixer because it does tend to tighten up quite a lot. Take the dough out of the bowl and form it into a ball. Now I don't know if you can see, but the top of the dough, it's got like little cracks, little tears in it. This is because I've used a 50-50 mix of bread flour and plain flour. And this wouldn't happen with bread, with pure bread flour, because there'd be more gluten in it, more strings. Okay, in the bowl then, cover it over and place it somewhere warm to prove. It's no good saying leave it for an hour. You leave it till it's doubled in size. I use the microwave, preheat it to like 30-40 degrees. It does for me. Here it is after about 45 minutes, and that looks about double to me. Yeah, that'll do. This is the fun part, knocking the air out, knocking the CO2 out of the dough. You can vent some aggression here, guys. I'm just folding it back on itself a few times, making a rough rectangle, an oblong if you like, squeezing more of the gases out, and then give it a quick roll in, just to thin it down a bit, because we've got to get all that dried fruit in. So a little bit at a time, whoops, spilt a few, little bit at a time, fold it back on itself, roll it out. And repeat. And eventually you'll have most of the soaked fruit in the dough. As you can see at the top of the screen there, I had far too much fruit to go in that amount of dough. And once the fruit's in, just give it a roll up. Just trying to get into like a big sausage, because we're going to cut it into 3 in a minute. Yeah, just chop it into 3 portions. So what we do now, just roll the 3 portions out into sausages. And when they're roughly the same size, like I said, it's not an exact science, this cooking lark. We're going to plait them, or is it braid? I don't know. Join the top together, left over centre, right over centre, left over centre, right over centre. Can't remember that from school. And at the end, just seal them together. I think I have to use, yeah, a little bit of water on that one, hold it together. And just tuck the join underneath. Right then, time for the second prove. So what I've done, I put it on a baking tray, a bit of greaseproof paper, and again just cover it and leave it in somewhere warm for about, now this is timed, about 30 minutes. And what we're doing this time round is letting the dough recover from being bashed around, and to get the yeast making some more gases for us. So time to wash over the dough. I'm using an egg and milk wash for this. You can use just egg, you can use just milk, or you can use water even. Just cover the whole of the loaf with the wash. It gives it that nice gloss when it comes out the oven. And a light scattering of sesame seeds over the top. Like with a lot of breads, it's good to cook them over a bit of water to make the steam, make the crust nicer. So in the bottom of my tray there, I got the trivet, I don't know, a cup of water I suppose, ready to go in the oven. And in the oven for 10 minutes at 200 Celsius, just to get the crust forming, and then we'll turn the temperature down a bit to 180 for about 20-25 minutes. But the crust will tell you when it's ready. Nice and shiny golden brown is what we're after. And that looks just about right for me. Oh yeah, very, very nice. Well, Tell you what guys, that is absolutely hot cross bun on a massive scale. Lovely.
And there you have it guys, my Easter fruit loaf, or my fruity Easter loaf, or I suppose you could get the word spicy in there somewhere. My spiced Easter fruity loaf. Anyway, I mentioned halfway through about maybe having too much dried fruit. I've made this since and it all fitted in, so don't worry about that. And another thing I've done is to use orange juice as the liquid instead of tea. Very, very nice. And I think next year I might play around with rum or brandy. That would be nice. And last up, if you don't want to mess around with all the fruit, you can just buy a bag of mixed fruit. You can get some very good mixes these days, cranberries in it, apricots, all sorts. And I'll be doing that next year. So I hope you try this one, guys. If you do, please let me know how it goes. It really is tasty, just like a big hot cross bun. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next recipe.